Let's take a look at the details of those stories. Now, the quality and state of Accra's drains have once again been exposed by today's heavy downpour. The rains, which started shortly after 2 p.m, left parts of Accra street flooded and almost swept away several vehicles. Matilda Nyakwa Dennis toured the capital and has more.
The news team had to make a stop on its way to an assignment simply because the road had become unsafe. As we made our way towards the Kwame Nkrumah Circle from Asylum down, we realized the road was flooded and littered with debris from the main storm drain. This is Asylum down where the old Iran clinic used to be. It's been raining for just a few minutes, but as you can see, the whole place is choked with water. The rubbish from the big gutter over there has drifted all to the streets, and the cars here, they had to stop. If your car is not big, you risk being drowned. So even all the vehicles that were going straight had to turn back to take another turn somewhere. It's very, very dangerous here. All the houses here are filled with water. Residents had to move out to avoid being swept away, and it had been raining heavily for just about 30 minutes at a time.
So right now we don't get the place where we sleep. Don't worry about the thing we are doing. Material spoil. So tell the government, say make it help us. We be young boys. See our kiosks, hustlers, see what can see our shop. Make the things where we do where we take the job.
The rains also exposed the filth in other parts of the capital. As pedestrians found shelters to protect themselves from the downpour, this beggar was left without a choice as he sat sadly in the rain.
We're still in the capital and on the floods. Several residents within Aveno in Accra were temporarily thrown out of their homes by the flash floods. The affected residents are unsure how or where to pass the night. Emmanuel's report.
At the time of my arrival in Aveno, residents were scooping water from their rooms, supported by their children. The belongings were completely soaked with rainwater, leaving them with nothing dry to keep them warm. Elizabeth is a final year junior high school student, and she shares with me her experience.
Today, this place was dangerous. Like when they were touching the walls and this one, it was shocking. And my grandmother fell down, and I was afraid that something could happen to her. So when I came, someone told me that my mother was like the water was taking my mother away, and they carried my mother on from the water. So I asked my mother that, is it true? And my mother said yes.
But she wasn't alone. Several other school-going children were busily at work to claim back their rooms. Justice is one such child. He tells me his books are wet and he cannot go to weekend school on Saturday.
It entered our rooms and our books got wet, so we can't get textbooks to read. And even tomorrow, some of us will go to classes. So because of our books are wet, so we can't. I was sad, so I need to help my father to clean up because of the chaos they have built.
Like Justice, older residents were surprised by the flood. They say it is the first such incident, especially when neither the main storm drain nor the secondary drain was spilling. Alfred is an opinion leader and he blames some recalcitrant persons who have put up structures on the waterway.
One of the major causes that we saw that we have people who have put these structures, wooden structures on the waterway in the community. So as you know, water found its own level. So after it rained, this water had to backflow into the community. So those are part of the cause. The other one has to do with, let me say, attitudinal change. People dump refuse into the drainage. So when it was, you can see some places are choked with what? Rubbish, dirt, and so on and so forth.
He believes getting rid of these structures would help curb this, as more rains are expected in the course of the year. He also pleaded with residents to change attitudes towards disposing of waste.
Well, days after several structures were demolished at Ajay-Kojo in Straha in Tema, where over 200 houses were demolished, residents of Ajay-Kotoku in the Gan West district of the Greater Accra region are about to suffer same fate. The municipal chief executive of the district, Sam Atukwe, says the demolition has become necessary following government's plans to develop the area into a commercial trading hub.
Agitated residents of Ajay-Kotoku on Friday did not spare the moment to register their displeasure to the news team about the Assembly's plans to demolish their houses. The residents told us the Assembly was trying to use political force to illegally claim the lands, a situation they vowed to resist.
We want the president to hear about this, that we Ghanaians who voted him on power, and on top of that, paying him out of our tax. Now they are trying to tell us that they can rob us from our own privileges, a land that I have bought with my own money, with my own sweat, with loan from the bank. Now they want to take it from me.
International market site. Remove now na ye ntiasia ye DH because mo bibibaya mo amboy enkai bia obi ameka hwankyere mo na obi antena nhwehwe na chese mo ade no nzu ye call research enya aban asase.
Some showed documents showing they bought the land legally and threatening to resist any attempts to pull down their structures.
About time with children, I met him yesusu. Now you mean so yes, I me by this and I'm in with me ma. Now me starting and free me shop ashi me niamashi. Kakra me also me need us to say at least me yena me mata. Now me starting my bravo. He honso na ye pam where they are no ordin. And ye kiosk and then ye pata. I dan ye sisi and I move bubu ni enko tenahe. Enti yesra ban so mbehwe.
Pensioners were emu na sese a ube bubu dan yegu na pensioners work trahifa pensioner ni whole life odi aye adwuma nyina agi ni pension sika nyina asidan kakra wo betrem na otim na se obebubu na da ben ni kira na onsan ko bubu na ne kum na chese mu kum ye nyina.
On the walls of several uncompleted and sprawling structures in the community were these inscriptions by the Gan West Assembly: market lands removed now, with the date clearly stated when the houses should be removed. But the municipal chief executive, Sam Atukwe, says residents have no case and the demolition exercise will surely be carried out before February 28.
I will demolish between now and 28. Before 28, I'll demolish. We've told them time and look, if you go there are some signs. We wrote those signs on it since 2011, but they won't listen. Are you getting me? They won't listen. They know, but because the thing is not beginning, they think they can. You get what I'm saying? Recalcitrance.
According to the MCE, documents in his possessions show that residents have built their houses within the proposed commercial trading hub. He explains those with the proper documentation will be compensated.
Those individuals who had property before the acquisition, their properties, they received compensation. It is the land that the compensation didn't come. So then the consultants who did the work identified all those people. So now we are ready to compensate them. Now that government is ready to compensate, it means that government is also ready to develop the project. The problem now is that within all this period, whilst government has acquired this, waiting to compensate them, they also, within themselves, started selling the land.
The MCE, however, indicated over 90% of homeowners in the district did not have building permits and called on all persons who did not have building permits to formalize their documentation to prevent their houses from being demolished in the future.
And let's go to the Central Region now. The Agona East District of the Central Region continued to record high teenage pregnancies despite several interventions. Girls between the ages of 12 and 16 are the most vulnerable, and this has resulted in high school dropout rates.
The district is said to be among the most deprived in the region, with the main occupation being farming and petty trading. Joynews checks indicate school dropout is high, especially among girls between the ages of 12 and 16, due to teenage pregnancy. Most of these teen mothers could not even tell the reason for getting pregnant. While some drop out of school when pregnant, others continue but have to go home intermittently to breastfeed their babies. What is most worrying, according to the headmaster of Nsaba Methodist Primary A&B, Samuel Saki, is that these teen girls are normally impregnated by their male counterparts of their age.
Day in, day out, you come out or you see one or two of the pupils becoming pregnant. And what is very pathetic is that these pregnancies come as a result of pupils among them, pupils within the same classroom. Just now, there were two girls coming there. Yeah, one of them was one. She went to feed the child and she has returned.
Education authorities in the area say teenage pregnancy has impacted negatively on girl-child education.
After the girl had gotten pregnant, as for the boy, he can still continue his education. But at times it is the girls who are dropped out, so we continue to educate them.
Health officials are worried teen mothers do not get prenatal care, which can lead to health challenges. The Agona East District Director of Health Services, Nancy Echem, disclosed that teenage pregnancy is high in the area.
It's around 17% since 2018. But this year we realized that we recorded 16%, indicating a drop. But that is not enough. The rate is still high, so we just want to encourage our service providers who are into adolescent health service, together with the community members who are helping us, to intensify all the programs that we have, the services we have concerning adolescents, to be able to bring it further down. One, we have our facilities designated as adolescent-friendly health facilities. That means we welcome all adolescents and we make sure we take them through counseling for them to know what their bodies and then what they can do to prevent such things.
Poor parenting and guidance is blamed for the number of girls getting pregnant whilst in school.
Boy no mama was my bonny me say me here bonny say me bo ba no ho ban me boy ba ku be 18 no 18 years no ko fa boy ko fa girl no ko fa no so 12 years me so me fie na mo cheka ka be me ba no tene be am so me tie mo twe me nua be ni ne ba me nyu bi wan kan kire ma dem tie na say what's girl na nyem no what girl ne bre ma hwe no ma wa wo when ba no wan ya fe ne busu afa be fa no ko.
Georgina appears reports from the Central Region.
Let's do some politics now. NPP's Director of Election, Martin Mensah Kosa, says the decentralized 2014 National Conference will go ahead despite strong opposition from some party members. According to him, the highest decision-making body of the party, that is the National Executive Committee, made the decision, and until that is reversed by the same body, they are mandated to carry out the elections at various constituencies.
Financial difficulties has been cited as one of the reasons the party has scrapped the centralized system where delegates congregate at a particular location to elect national executives. The Director of Elections tells Joynews holding the elections at various constituencies is a preferred choice for the party at this critical moment, considering it is less expensive.
To do a centralized event, you need over 1 million Ghana cedis. Currently, under this decentralized system, you need just about 200,000 Ghana cedis to do. As a party in opposition, moving on, you have other activities to carry even before you get to a main election. If both, whether centralized or decentralized, can get you the same result, what makes you go use over 1 million cedis to do one event that you could use 200,000 to do? Don't you need money to carry on with other activities, including the general election? If you're a businessman working for money, is that how you want to utilize your money? Or is it because it's party funds, nobody wants to care about its prudence, how we use it?
Asked whether this decision breaches the constitution of the party, he explained that decentralization will incorporate all activities that are required to be performed.
The issue here is how the national chairman comes to give a report on the state of the party or what they've done so far, and how the treasurer comes to give a report on the financial state of the party. In this decentralized system, all of these are going to be met. We are currently debating whether it should be a live broadcast from, say, any of the state media institutions. Should it be done audio and played to the delegates? Should it be written, okay? Put copies in the folders of delegates? These are all possible ways that we can adopt. Thanks to technology, we have varied ways of carrying out this. And that is why I think we will not infringe on the constitutional provisions in any way.
Martin Kosa indicated the decentralized system will prevent candidates seeking re-election from using platforms to campaign instead of taking stock. He said it will also largely do away with buying of votes. This is the first time the national executive elections are going to be held in the various regions.
We're still with the NPP. Some members of the New Patriotic Party in the Banda constituency of the Bunahafo region have officially announced their defection to the ruling NDC. The former NPP members, including executives, declared their unflinching support for the NDC at a press conference at Banda Sase. Nesta Kafuya Juma filed this report.
The defectors mentioned, among other things, being sidelined and tagged by the NPP as outsiders because of their disagreement over the 2012 election petition. The group recalled their arguments that the 2012 election petition would be an exercise without any good result, for which they were castigated by leading members of the party. They further said executive members of the NPP had always wanted them out, so it is time for them to leave. The former Tyne Constituency Communications Director of the NPP, Charles Akowua, who spoke for the defectors, noted that it is no longer conducive for them to continue to be members of the NPP.
The assumed fashion, as we have been tagged, was not what we were after. But we were in the party just to help our beloved party, irrespective of whosoever will be the flag bearer of the coming 2016 elections. We believe we have been forced out from the party, or we have been kicked out. We know what we are capable of doing. We don't want to belong to any factionalism in the party. But whatever we do and whatever we say, people have their own interpretation. And we think it is time for us to leave and join the NDC, the National Democratic Congress.
Charles Akowua disclosed they have a huge following and are joining the NDC to support the good works of the party. The former NPP members were formally received and inducted into the NDC by taking the party's oath. The defectors said since they constructed the NPP office themselves, they are handing over the facility to the NDC. Nesta Kafuya Juma's report from the Bunahafo region.
Let's take a breather now. We'll return shortly. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Water Resources, Works and Housing has asked Ghana Water Company Limited to review plans to pilot a new policy aimed at introducing prepaid meters for potable water. According to the chairman of the committee, the Ghana Water Company Limited failed to convince the committee with the schedule of the pilot project and asked them to bring a workable proposal for consideration.
The committee issued a directive at a crunch meeting prompted by public outrage over the proposed policy, described by critics as insensitive to the poor. Based on the cries from the general public, the Select Committee summoned the Ghana Water Company Limited and the sector minister on Thursday to explain to the committee what informed their decision. But according to the chairman of the committee, Ghana Water Company Limited fell short in their explanation.
We want to understand what they mean by prepaid metering. Currently, like my ranking said yesterday, in some areas people pay before buying water. So is that prepaid system? So we should understand what is meant by prepaid. Then we appreciate the program that they want to do, because in certain areas now, people take money to the tap, pay and then fetch.
The chairman also indicated they have not discarded the pilot idea altogether, but they must provide feasible program.
Now they want to do it on a pilot basis. You cannot stop them. Pilot programs are done everywhere. In the health sector, in the education sector, we do it. And so if Ghana Water want to roll out a pilot program in prepaid metering, we are not in a position to stop them from doing it. What we want to do is that let us assess the details of it and see whether it will be feasible, because 2 attempts were not successful. So what can they do this time around that it will be successful? This is what we want to know. We want the ministry to be involved, Parliament to be involved, all stakeholders in the water sector to be involved. That we want to do a pilot program in a community A, B, C, and this is how we want to do it. I mean, then we would then agree, because currently, like we stand, you cannot roll a pilot program in Adenta when water is not flowing.
There is no specified date given to officials of the Ghana Water Company Limited to return to Parliament with details of their revised pilot program for scrutiny. A number of civil society groups, including the Integrated Social Development Center, ISODEC, have slammed the proposed policy.
In a related development, the chairman of the Select Committee of Parliament on Housing says the TDC and other stakeholders involved in the Ajay-Kojo demolition saga have been invited by the committee to find a lasting solution, that is, to the problem.
The committee issued a directive at a crunch meeting prompted by public outrage over the proposed policy, described by critics as insensitive to the poor. Based on the cries from the general public, the Select Committee summoned the Ghana Water Company Limited and the sector minister on Thursday to explain to the committee what informed their decision. But according to the chairman of the committee, Ghana Water Company Limited fell short in their explanation.
We want to understand what they mean by prepaid metering. Currently, like my ranking said yesterday, in some areas people pay before buying water. So is that prepaid system? So we should understand what is meant by prepaid. Then we appreciate the program that they want to do, because in certain areas now, people take money to the tap, pay and then fetch.
The chairman also indicated they have not discarded the pilot idea altogether.
Meanwhile, the TDC says allegations of paperwork and money paid to TDC by some of the affected persons are untrue. In a statement released in Tema, the company says no payment has been made to it by any of the persons living in the affected areas. The statement further said for TDC to receive ground rent payments, then it must have issued an offer letter, a site plan and a right of entry letter. It is therefore asking that if there are any affected persons who have title to the land, as per an offer letter, right of entry and the site plan and the requisite building permits covering the structure, and those who have been affected by the exercise should produce these documents to the TDC, and the company will accept the liability so incurred. we are confident that, and that's according to the TDC, they're confident that not a single person can do that. The statement concluded that the TDC wishes to state that even where allocations have been made to traditional authority, there are clear procedures for such allocation of lands to those individuals. The company named the processes as starting with the filing of the requisite forms provided by the Traditional Council, which is signed by the appropriate signatories before it is forwarded to TDC to continue with the other processes of giving title to the land. TDC says in its view, it is done all that is humanly possible to make the exercise as minimally damaging as it can be. Let's go back to Parliament now. Members there have questioned the completion date of Job 600, the office accommodation facility for members of Parliament. The members of the House want their office accommodation tackled with urgency, which they say it deserves.
In September 2013, approved a loan for the completion of the Job 600 project, which will serve as offices for MPs. But till date, the project still remains uncompleted and at a standstill. The MP for Ablekuma North and member of the House Committee, Justice Joe Appiah, raised the matter on the floor after the business statement for next week was read by the majority leader.
Mr. Speaker, ever since the inception of the House Committee, we've met only once, Mr. Speaker. All the committees are working, and up to now, MPs are transacting business in their car booths. What is happening to the Job 600 office accommodation? Leadership should answer this, Mr. Speaker.
The majority leader in his response indicated plans are underway to address the issue.
We are already in touch with the whips in relation to a specific meeting of the House Committee to address a number of matters. That meeting should have taken place this week, but it is subject to the Parliamentary Service Board meeting that would come on next week so that we can put all the information together for the consideration of the House Committee.
The Speaker, who has been championing the completion of the project for members, came in and said there has been substantial progress.
When the loan was approved, certain legal issues were raised about it in some of the clauses. So the matter was referred to the minister. When the Prime Minister invited the Minister of Finance to appear before the board, we were informed that it was referred to the Attorney General for an advice. This week I got in touch with the Finance Minister with regards to this matter and informed me that the Attorney General has cleared it and therefore they have signed the loan agreement now.
Another challenge facing members of the House is name tags on their tables. The name tags which are on the tables of members are tags from the 5th Parliament, which are yet to be changed after the first session of the 6th Parliament.
The simple matter of printing names, this is something which could be done overnight. At the back there, you see these names written in felt, some even written on the folders. This is on the holders. This is certainly not good enough. After one whole year, we can't get name tags properly placed on our tables. This is disgraceful.
The Speaker then referred the matter to the Chairman of the House Committee to ensure the tags are provided as early as possible. The Public Accounts Committee's report on the performance audit report of the Auditor General and the second reading of bills are expected to be done when the House resumes on February 4. The Minister of Roads and Highways is also expected to answer urgent questions from the members of the House.
The new Drabe Municipal Assembly in Koforidua has announced a decongestion exercise at the Koforidua Central Business Market and along streets and pavements on Monday, February 2. Chief Executive Dr. Kwekuowusu Echampong briefed the media ahead of the exercise.
The media briefing is to enable them use their medium to intensify education on the decongestion exercise. Streets and pavements along the Koforidua market have been taken over by traders and hawkers, forcing pedestrians to compete with vehicles for space. The New Japan Municipal Chief Executive Dr. Kweku Owusu Achampong noted that the Assembly had several meetings with the Market Women Association on the dangers of selling on the streets and pavements, yet they continue to defy orders.
Most of them have brought their wares from the stores to the fringes of pavement for reasons best known to them. Access roads are therefore blocked and pedestrians find movement at Central Business District difficult. You'll be surprised that at a point, items in certain stores are all brought out to the open for display.
The Municipal Assembly also mentioned the Freedom Stores lane in front of shops along the main streets and the Municipal Assembly premises as no parking zones. The Assembly said it has prepared a secured parking lot at the Koforidua Jackson's Park for shop owners and traders who transact business at the Central Business Market at a cost of 1 Ghana cedi. Some traders Joynews spoke to said the Assembly had not informed them ahead of Monday's exercise.
If you get store, we will not be able to rent the stores. Some people are having the store, but they are still on the roadside with us. If they will give us the store in the market, even for 25 million, 50 million, we'll be able to pay. Then get the store and move inside. Starting on the roadside is not our wish. If we so get the store inside, we like to be big businessmen.
Haruna Yusuf Wumpini's report from the Eastern Region.
We'll take a break now as we wait for Abigail Adumako entry with the business news.
Hello, time now to do some business stories. I'm Abigail Adumako. Now, the full completion of the Ghana Gas project has yet again been extended to the last quarter of the year. This comes only a week after Sinopec, contractors of the project, gave April 28 as the date to receive first gas. According to the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, the dates given were technical and ideal, but not real. Following the processes the first gas will have to go through to be ready for use.
Just a week ago, Sinopec was very optimistic the plant in Etuabo will be completed by March 31, while this gas will be fully ready for use a week after April 28.
The first gas, after definition, the we're going to introduce the gas first, probably like in 1 week without delivering to the Takrati pump. Okay, because we have to internally, within the plant, we have to circulate a little bit and heat it up or whatever. That we're going to use a few gas to warm the whole system up. And before we can push gas into the power plant. Okay, we're expecting that to take like 1 week. So that 1 week down, but that means, you know, it's first gas, that's the definition of first gas.
But the sector head, Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, is not sure gas will be made available from the plant by the day Sinopec has given. They say per expert advice, the realistic time for gas to be delivered to the Viari Abuazi plant for power generation is the last quarter of the year.
These are technical dates they have given for they themselves and for their timelines. Even having first gas on the 28th April, as they did indicate earlier on, does not mean that that gas will be in Abuazi. Of what use is that gas there if it doesn't get to Abuazi? For us Ghanaians, what is more important is that we want to have that gas in Abuazi. Looking at the history of pre-commissioning, the history of commissioning of projects like that, there could be challenges. And we have factored in all these challenges, and we think that the most realistic time when we will start having gas in the required volumes at Abuazi would be on the last quarter of this year.
For them, although Ghanaians are eager to see the completion of the project, it remains technical and crucial for them not to pressurize the contractors into completing it.
It is important to let Ghanaians know that this is a project that is being managed. It's a highly technical project, and therefore quality is important. Bringing down costs is also important, and of course an early completion of it is also very critical for all of us. However, we must not be seen to be stampeding the engineers. in doing their work.
They are, however, hopeful the delay will not push the country into another power crisis as they continue to rely on the available sources of fuel for power generation.
Meanwhile, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, William Amuna, has debunked a report by Imani Ghana which says that the company's system control unit has failed to deliver on its mandate to provide authentic transmission information to players in the energy sector, causing irregularities. He says Gridco is effectively monitoring the available generation of power and ensuring that there is a balance in demand.
To a report released on January 30 by Imani Ghana, the Gridco System Control Unit, which creates a national interconnection system linking all the various remote terminal units to one master control dashboard in Bong, has failed to provide real-time updates on the latest state of the transmission grid. This, the report says, has led to the inconsistencies in the reports on reserve generation levels by the VRA and the ECG, which continues to insist that enough power is not supplied to it to meet peak load demand. But the CEO of Gridco, William Amuna, while addressing the newly inaugurated 7-member board of the company by the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum, insisted the information was inaccurate.
I expected them to understand what is meant by a system control center. It's totally false. I mean, what was written in there. What we do at Gridco is that we monitor the whole system. We look at the generation available and then the demand. We try to balance them. In the circumstance where anything happens that we lose some generation, we just have to take out some load. If we don't, we collapse the whole system. Now, you'd also have to note that anytime we collapse the system, we normally use about 8 hours to restore the whole system. So which is a better ever? Is it that we have to just take a part off until sanity is restored, or would just allow the system to run for it to collapse?
He explained there are no reserve margins and hence during peak periods there will be some load management.
Having 125 megawatt out indicates that we are operating at the neck. We just don't have any reserve margin. So that means that during the peak period, if anything happens to any other generator within the system, we would have to shed load. The first unit from Abuazi, that job will be ended by, I think, the 23rd of February or so. Now, when that is done, a second unit would have to also be done. Now, if we have all these 2 units coming back, we would have enough reserve margin to meet the demand. So as it is now, there is no official or any calculated load shedding program.
For the Minister of Energy and Petroleum, Emmanuel, although he is yet to peruse the reports by Imani Ghana, he was emphatic that government is poised to fix the challenges in the energy sector.
We will study the report. Just last week, if you saw that the President personally went to Abu Dhabi, and just within a day after he left, he was able to get the company that is already giving us 330 megawatts in Ghana to come and commit for another 330, and so doing, also do a water project. That is economic diplomacy. That is how committed he is to addressing the challenges of the energy sector.
The chair of the Gridco board also indicated his readiness to correct the inefficiencies in the system.
Well, the Ghana Haulage Transport Owners Association has announced indefinite suspension of services in protest against government's implementation of new axle load limits effective 1st February. Members say in spite of numerous pleas for 68 tons in conformity with neighboring countries' standards have yielded no results. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports.
Ghana Highway Authority will from tomorrow implement the Road Traffic Regulation 2012 LI 2180. This means that the allowable axle load limit for 6 axle articulator track will be 60 tons, while 5, 4, 3 and 2 axle articulator tracks will be 50.5 tons, 44 tons and 34.5 tons. Single vehicles with 2, 3 and 4 axle load limits will also be 21 tons, 30.5 tons and 37.5 tons. Whilst carrying loads beyond the allowable limits would shed off the excess load and pay the new overloading fees indicated in LI 2180. The General Secretary of the Ghana Haulage Transport Owners Association, Salia Adams, told the press conference in Kumasi the association has no option than to resort to the action as it accuses government of being insensitive. About 15,000 articulator trucks are expected to take part in the protest. Mr. Salia said several positions to government to reconsider the new regulation.
That will be all by way of business reports. George Adu Jr. comes up next with sports.
Sports tonight with the Ghana Premier League, because it has dropped from being the 6th strongest national league in Africa to the 10th position in the last 12 months, according to the latest rankings by the International Federation of Football History and Statistics. Calculated from 1st January 2013 to 31st December 2013, is determined annually by the IFFHS since 1991 on the basis of all national and continental results of the clubs. Ghana's Premier League also dropped in the world ratings by 12 places and is now ranked 77th in the world. This fall is attributed to the inability of Ghanaian clubs to make a meaningful impact in Africa and the world during the period. In the African rankings, the Tunisian league has toppled the Sudanese league in becoming Africa's strongest league, boosted by Ahly's exploits of winning the CAF Champions League a few months ago. The Egyptian Premier League returns to the top 10 and is placed second in Africa, followed by Morocco, Nigeria, Mali, South Africa, Algeria, Angola, and the Cameroonian League at 9th place. The world ranking for the strongest national leagues for 2013 has the Spanish Premier Division retain its first place position for the 4th time in a row since 2010, with the English Premier League, German Bundesliga, Italian Serie A and Brazilian leagues following each other in the top 5. Right, we're getting to the boxing ring now, and Ghana's boxer could get a new world champion tomorrow as world-ranked middleweight opponent Usman Adama challenges WBA and IBO middleweight champion Gennady Golovkin in Monte Carlo, France. Adama faces the best in the weight division, but says he's conditioned to hand Golovkin a defeat.
For this fight, and this is what I've been training for. I can say I'm been training. I was born for. I started boxing when I was young, so I'm ready to fight anybody in the world, and this is the time to fight Golovkin. It's going to be a lot different because most of the fighters he fight, they are not speed like the way I speed. You know, I know he fought. So it's about speed versus Golovkin. It's about the speed and power. It's about the speed and power. He feels power. I also feel like I'm a strong boxer. I'm a power boxer too. I'm a very strong fighter. If I with good fighters, I also feel like I fight with the good fighters. I used to watch his fight when his fight, anybody his fight, I used to watch it, but I don't watch his previous fight to say I'm learning something. I can learn something from him. I have to learn something for mindset. I'm learning to get better. I'm not learning for something from nobody. All Africans are willing for me to, win this fight, and inshallah, I'm going to win this fight. This fight is mine, and especially I thank God that all my supporters coming, a lot of supporters coming from Ghana to Monte Carlo, especially Ikote. It's going to be privileged. It's going to be so nice to have my world champion from Africa to, decide me to come to the fight.
Let's do some athletics now. The Bank of Africa Group Ghana is the third time sponsoring 2 Ghanaian athletes to participate in the 6th edition of the Bank of Africa International Marathon, which is scheduled to take place in Bamako on Sunday. The sponsorship worth 20,000 Ghana cedis covers 2 male athletes, 1 coach and a journalist. Financial manager Festus Kofi has been explaining why the bank has stuck to this trend.
The 6th Bank of Africa Bamako International Marathon is to take place in the Malian capital Bamako on Sunday, February 2nd, 2014. Bank of Africa is sponsoring a team of 4 made up of 2 athletes, a coach and a journalist to this event. Ghana is being represented by Godwin, Roger, who came 1st and 2nd respectively in the Justifiers, which were held on Sunday, 19 January 2014. Raja actually made Ghana proud last year when he came 2nd in the Mali Marathon, behind Kenya's Mutiri Karanga. Ghana other runners, Akakia and William, placed 8th and 27th respectively. Godwin, who is again representing Ghana, came 3rd in the Mali Marathon 2 years ago. It therefore appears that Bank of Africa Ghana is sponsoring 2 athletes who already know the Bamako terrain very well and can make us proud of a first place win. This year's Mali Marathon justifiers were supervised jointly by the Ghana Athletic Association as well as the Unaton Foundation, which is an NGO, non-profit sport development organization established by Ricade.
That's your sports, but don't forget to pray for the local Black Stars who come up against Libya tomorrow and that all-important final. We hope they can win. My name is George Addy Jr. Have a good night. Gifty joins us with some more.
Sports was brought to you in association with.
Now, showbiz today is a little bit heavy. That's because the late member of the Hip Life duo, Ronnie Coaches, who died last year, will be buried on Saturday, February 1st, 2014. Ahead of his burial, though, his remains will be laid in state at the National Theatre in Accra for family, friends and fans to pay their last respects to him.
Ahead of the wake at the National Theatre on Friday 31st, parents of the deceased Hip Life artist, Ronnie Coaches, are reported to have a clash over the mortal remains of the late Bookbag Group member. According to eyewitnesses who spoke to myjoyonline.com, there was some amount of confusion at the Bubwashi residence of Ronnie's parents Friday as to which house will host the remains when it is brought from the morgue. Report says after several minutes of a near tussle between the two functions, an unnamed relative managed to move the body to safety. Meanwhile, preparations are still ongoing for the waykeeping service at the National Theatre.
May so rest in peace, but that's it for showbiz.
Showbiz was brought.
Before we go, as usual, a look again at our top stories. Some parts of Accra was hit by floods following torrential rainfalls today. The Agona East District of the Central Region is recording high rates of school dropouts due to teenage pregnancy among girls between the ages of 12 and 16. The Parliamentary Select Committee on Works and Housing is to help resolve the impasse between alleged illegal tenants and the TDC on the Ajay Kojo lands. Meanwhile, the TDC said victims who can produce documents will be compensated. The Director of Elections of the NPP, Martin Ajay Kosa, said the decentralized system of elections agreed on by the National Executive Council of the NPP will go ahead despite protests from some members. He insisted only the NEC can change it. In business, completion date for the Ghana Gas project cannot be met. Completion has now been fixed for the last quarter of the year. And I do appreciate your time with me here on Joynews on Multi TV. My name is Gifty and Apia. Do stay for PM Express with Nanan Sakwa. Good evening.